This is also a time of change for my family. I count on the loving help of my darling wife, Camilla.
The royal family has never been short on drama, but what just unfolded has the entire world watching in shock. A new viral clip showing King Charles's raw, unscripted reaction to a controversial life sentence verdict has ignited a firestorm on social media. But this isn't just about one moment. It's reopened every wound, reignited every theory, and dragged the world back to the tragic and mysterious death of Princess Diana. Was justice finally served? Or is this just another chapter in the monarchy's long and bitter legacy of secrets? As people analyze the king's every expression in that now infamous video, they're also looking backward to the broken marriage with Diana, the whispers about her death, and his controversial relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. Everyone has an opinion, but what's the truth? Who's to blame? And how has it shaped the reign of the monarch many still see as controversial? Get ready, because story is deeper, darker, and more divisive than you ever imagined. The viral clip. The moment King Charles reacted on camera to a life sentence ruling may have lasted only seconds, but its impact was seismic. As the footage made its way across social media, what initially seemed like an awkward glance quickly took on a darker tone. The king's jaw tightened. His eyes darted toward Queen Camilla, and though the audio barely captured it, lip readers quickly deciphered what many believe was a muttered, "It's happening." Palace spokespeople swiftly dismissed the moment as a natural human response. But that explanation only added fuel to the fire. What exactly was happening? Theories spiraled from the mildly plausible to the absolutely unhinged. Was this sentence tied to someone with intimate knowledge of Princess Diana's final days? Could this be fallout from decades-old secrets that Buckingham Palace fought desperately to keep buried? The timing couldn't have been worse. The sentence came just weeks after fresh reports emerged about possible new evidence in Diana's death. Suddenly, the viral clip wasn't just an embarrassing moment, it was symbolic. To the public, King Charles wasn't reacting to just any court ruling. He was reacting to the past finally catching up. Online sleuths dissected every angle. Body language experts weighed in. Old scandals were dragged back into the spotlight. And with hashtags like #CharlesExposed and #JusticeForDiana dominating timelines, the monarchy found itself in yet another media nightmare. More than anything, the clip ignited a wave of public outrage that had long been simmering. People weren't just reading into a reaction, they were demanding answers, fueled by a belief that decades of silence were unraveling right before their eyes. In a world addicted to viral moments, this one may have been the most damning of King Charles's reign, Charles and Diana. To grasp the explosive nature of King Charles's recent on-camera reaction, it's essential to revisit the deeply troubled foundation of his marriage to Princess Diana. Their union, once sold to the world as a modern royal love story, was in reality a calculated alliance wrapped in centuries of tradition, duty, and emotional repression. Diana was just a teenager, only 19, when she was thrust into the most scrutinized relationship on earth. Charles, already in his 30s, was still emotionally entangled with Camilla Parker Bowles, a woman many in the royal circle considered unsuitable for a future king. Despite his lingering affections, Charles went forward with the marriage, largely due to royal expectations and public pressure. The union was less about love and more about legacy. As the spotlight intensified, so did the cracks. Diana quickly captured the world's heart. Her compassion, charisma, and vulnerability made her a global icon, dubbed the People's Princess. Meanwhile, Charles was cast in a far less flattering light. His stiffness, aloofness, and the ongoing rumors of his continued closeness to Camilla fed a growing public resentment. The media savored the contrast, fueling headlines and narratives that painted Charles as the villain and Diana as the tragic heroine. Behind palace walls, things were even worse. Diana struggled with mental health issues, including depression and bulimia, conditions she later spoke about candidly. She felt isolated, unsupported, and betrayed. The marriage deteriorated rapidly, and by 1992, they had officially separated. Their 1996 divorce was the culmination of years of tension, infidelity, and emotional estrangement, and it marked a deep fracture in the public's perception of the monarchy. Charles's image took a long-lasting hit. He was seen as the man who hurt Diana, the woman who had become a symbol of grace and empathy. Even decades later, those wounds have not healed for much of the public. The legacy of that turbulent marriage still haunts the monarchy, and it continues to cast a shadow over Charles's reign. So when the camera caught King Charles reacting so viscerally to a life sentence ruling, people didn't just see a monarch reacting. They saw a man whose past has never truly left him. For many, the moment brought back the pain, betrayal, and unresolved grief tied to Diana's story. It wasn't just about justice. It was about memory, consequence, and a reckoning long overdue. The death of Diana. The death of Princess Diana remains one of the most haunting tragedies in modern history. But for many, it's also one of the most suspicious. On that fateful night of August 31, 1997, the world was shaken by the news that Diana, along with her partner Dodi Fayed, had died in a devastating car crash in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris. The initial narrative was simple. Their driver, Henri Paul, was intoxicated and lost control of the vehicle while trying to evade a pack of aggressive paparazzi. But almost immediately, doubt crept in. The official explanation left too many unanswered questions. Why, for instance, was Henri Paul even allowed to drive if he was allegedly under the influence? Why was there no proper security detail for someone as high-profile and often threatened as Diana? And perhaps most unsettling of all, was the crash truly accidental, or was it the result of something far more sinister? Mohammed Al-Fayed, Dodi's father, was among the first to publicly question the official story. He didn't mince words. He accused the British royal establishment of plotting the deaths, claiming they couldn't tolerate the idea of Diana marrying a Muslim man or potentially having his child. According to him, this union threatened the purity of the royal lineage and the image of the monarchy itself. He believed Diana had become too independent, too unpredictable, and ultimately too dangerous to the status quo. These claims weren't isolated. Rumors and conspiracy theories flooded the media and public discourse. Some speculated that MI6 was involved, acting under orders from those at the highest levels of power. Others focused on Charles, theorizing that Diana's presence and the secrets she might have revealed posed a threat to his future reign. Despite numerous inquiries, including the 2008 Operation Paget inquest, which concluded that grossly negligent driving caused the deaths, public skepticism persisted. The term unlawful killing used by the inquest didn't ease concerns. It inflamed them. The sense that powerful forces had escaped accountability only deepened the mistrust. For many, Diana's death wasn't just a personal loss, it was a betrayal. And in the court of public opinion, justice still feels elusive. The scars of that night continue to fester, and the questions surrounding it still echo. Questions that refuse to die. Who's to blame? When it comes to Princess Diana's tragic death, the official investigations and government-sanctioned narratives have done little to change public sentiment. For millions, the truth lies not in documents or courtrooms, but in what they've seen and felt for decades. Diana was abandoned, manipulated, and ultimately destroyed by the very institution she tried to modernize. Poll after poll has shown that a significant portion of the British public still suspects foul play. While not everyone believes in an outright assassination, many hold Charles indirectly responsible, not for orchestrating the crash, but for the years of emotional damage that preceded it. They blame him for choosing Camilla over Diana, for refusing to protect her from the relentless scrutiny, and for being a symbol of the cold, outdated monarchy she sought to reform. These deeply held beliefs made the viral footage of King Charles's courtroom reaction even more explosive. His sudden tension, the muttered words, the uneasy glance toward Camilla, none of it was seen in isolation. It was viewed through the lens of decades of suspicion and unresolved grief. Social media responded swiftly. Videos of Diana, laughing with children, comforting AIDS patients, walking through landmine zones, began circulating again, creating a striking emotional contrast to Charles's haunted expression in the courtroom. People weren't just comparing moments, they were comparing legacies. Was his reaction one of guilt? Was it fear of the past resurfacing? Or was it simply the weight of public judgment finally pressing down? Whatever the truth, the moment felt symbolic. For many, it confirmed what they've believed all along. Diana was the victim of a system designed to control her, and Charles, whether by action or inaction, was complicit. The court may have delivered its ruling, but the public had long since reached its own. And in their eyes, the case is far from closed. The Camila Controversy. Charles's relationship with Camilla has long been one of the most divisive and controversial aspects of the modern British monarchy. Before Diana's tragic death, their affair was already a simmering scandal, an open secret whispered about in tabloids and society circles. Camilla was cast as the other woman, the shadow figure who haunted Diana's marriage. And while Charles publicly denied any wrongdoing during the early years, the evidence became too glaring to ignore. When Charles finally married Camilla in 2005, after years of public resistance and royal protocol, it wasn't viewed by all as a love triumphing over adversity. For many, it felt like the final betrayal, confirmation that the monarchy had chosen personal desire over moral responsibility. Camilla's transformation from the mistress vilified in headlines to queen consort was especially jarring for Diana's loyal supporters. To them, it seemed like she was being rewarded for her part in one of the most painful royal scandals in history. Her elevation to queen consort reignited the fury of a public that had never fully embraced her. While some accepted the marriage as part of the royal family's modernization, others saw it as proof that elitism and tradition still protected those within the firm. Camilla, once the most hated woman in Britain, was now sitting beside the king, a sight many found hard to stomach. To this day, Camilla's public appearances continue to provoke strong reactions. Online comment sections and social media feeds flood with criticism, comparisons to Diana, and calls for accountability. Her image remains entangled in the legacy of a woman the public adored and a marriage many saw as broken from the start. So when Charles's reaction to the life sentence ruling went viral, all eyes naturally turned to Camilla. The glance between them in the courtroom clip was analyzed, dissected, and replayed millions of times. Was she nervous? Was she hiding something? Had the ruling struck a nerve too close to home? The palace, predictably, tried to downplay the moment, labeling it as misinterpreted emotion and urging the public to move on. But the damage was done. The look, the history, and the unresolved trauma surrounding Diana's legacy made that explanation feel hollow. For the public, it wasn't just a facial expression. It was a reminder that some wounds never heal, and some controversies never fade. The lasting impact on King Charles. The shadow of Princess Diana looms large over King Charles, casting a presence so enduring that it continues to define his public image and shape his reign. More than 25 years after her tragic death, Diana remains a figure the world can't forget, and one Charles cannot escape. Every public appearance, every royal event, and every step he takes as monarch is inevitably compared to the legacy of the woman the world dubbed the People's Princess. Since her death, Charles has walked a tightrope between duty and redemption. His marriage to Camilla, once seen as scandalous, was repackaged by the royal institution as a love story that withstood adversity. His coronation was presented as the dawn of a new, modern monarchy, one more attuned to the people and the times. But beneath the polished image and carefully managed public relations, Diana's absence still echoes. Many believe Charles has tried to reshape his legacy, to portray himself not as the cold and distant prince of the past, but as a thoughtful, evolved leader. Speeches about climate change, charity work, and efforts to modernize the monarchy all play into this narrative. Yet, for a significant portion of the public, these efforts are overshadowed by old wounds. The viral clip of Charles reacting to the life sentence ruling didn't just make headlines, it reignited a global reckoning with the past. In that brief, unguarded moment, the mask slipped. Viewers saw more than just a monarch. They saw a man caught in the crossfire of history, still burdened by the consequences of choices made decades ago. The muttered words, the tension in his face, the silent exchange with Camila, all served as grim reminders that no title, no crown, can shield someone from public memory. Now, with the court's life sentence verdict shaking the palace, questions are mounting. Is this the beginning of long overdue accountability? Has a chapter that was forcibly closed finally been reopened? To some, it feels like justice is inching closer, not just for Diana, but for all those who believe the truth has been buried beneath protocol and privilege for too long. Charles may have ascended the throne, but in the court of public opinion, the trial is far from over. And with each revelation, the question grows louder. Can a king ever outrun a ghost? The mystery surrounding life sentence. The life sentence that sparked King Charles's viral reaction may not have officially involved Princess Diana, but the timing and context have sent speculation into overdrive. According to court documents, the conviction was for crimes unrelated to the royal family. Yet, whispers from insiders and anonymous sources have suggested otherwise. Several outlets reported that the person sentenced had previously worked in or around royal security during the 1990s, raising immediate questions about what he might have known, or what he might have been silenced from ever revealing. Theories range from plausible to wild. Some suggest this individual had direct knowledge of the events leading up to Diana's fatal car crash in 1997. Others believe he may have been in possession of documents or intelligence that were never made public during the original investigations. There's even chatter that he may have been a middleman between intelligence agencies and the palace, privy to sensitive communications during one of the most turbulent periods in royal history. Skeptics argue that the case's connection to Diana is purely circumstantial, and that Charles's reaction was personal, an emotional moment triggered by years of public scrutiny and lingering guilt. But in the public eye, coincidences don't just happen. The sentencing came just as a new wave of documentaries and exposés began circulating, many of them revisiting the days and weeks leading up to Diana's death with fresh eyes and bolder questions. One former MI6 agent, speaking under condition of anonymity, told a journalist that certain truths are still classified for a reason, and ominously suggested that some people involved back then are starting to face consequences. While no names were given, the statement only added fuel to a fire that's been burning for over 2 decades. So, what does King Charles know? What was behind that look of dread, that muttered comment, that exchange with Camila? We may never know the full story. But one thing is clear. The monarchy's darkest chapters are not as sealed as once believed, and with every new clue, the line between official history and hidden truth grows thinner. What this means for monarchy. In an era where social media and viral moments shape public opinion, the monarchy finds itself in uncharted territory. King Charles, like any public figure, is no longer insulated from the kind of scrutiny that once only touched the lives of politicians or celebrities. The clip of his reaction to the life sentence verdict is a stark reminder that even the crown is under constant watch. For younger generations, particularly millennials and Gen Z, Diana has become a symbol of resistance against the monarchy's centuries-old traditions. They view her as a figure who stood for compassion and openness, ideals that directly challenge the rigid, elitist nature of the institution. To them, Charles often represents everything Diana fought against, a product of an outdated system that values tradition over personal integrity. This viral moment could be pivotal, not in terms of institutional change, but in how the monarchy is perceived by the public. If people start believing that accountability is being served, even symbolically, it could shift the narrative around the royal family. It could lead to a reckoning for Charles and others, challenging the old guard's power and relevance. As Prince William and Kate continue to take on more royal duties, the question lingers: will the ghosts of the past Diana's tragic death and the scandal surrounding it continue to haunt the monarchy? Or, with each passing year, will the royal family finally find a way to close that painful chapter? Only time will tell, but this moment marks a key turning point in the monarchy's relationship with the public. No matter where you stand, whether you believe Charles is a grieving man caught in a cruel system or a monarch dodging justice, the truth is clear. Diana's legacy is far from over, and this viral moment has reawakened every old suspicion, every unanswered question. The king's reaction wasn't just about a courtroom verdict. It was a mirror held up to decades of pain, betrayal, and loss. And in that reflection, the world saw something chilling, something unresolved. What happens next is anyone's guess. Will more revelations come to light? Will the monarchy finally face the full weight of the past? One thing's certain, the world is watching, and they remember. Every glance, every tear, every whisper of conspiracy. And with every passing year, the voice demanding justice for Diana grows louder. So, what do you think Charles was reacting to? Was it guilt? Was it fear? Or was it something more? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Because this story is far from over.